And the great thing about being a philosopher is that I'm not a scientist. Philosophy is not a science, it's an art form. That means it's much bigger than science. Philosopher Jim Deleuze once said, science deals with solving problems. Philosophy deals with inventing new problems. I want to invent new problems, and the more problems there are, the more fun the world is. So solving the problems is not my responsibility. Happily let it solve. I'd rather invent new problems you haven't even thought of. So I'm very happy being a philosopher. And that's why when I heard today's theme, it's about time. And because I'm a bit of a nerd, I actually took it literally. Short. Time. Philosophical. What is time? Well, it turns out time is the most everyday thing you could ever think of. And the funny thing in the world of philosophy is that those everyday things we just take for granted, but don't really think much about, are really the most profound ideas of all and the biggest mysteries we could think. So I would even say that time is the greatest mystery of all. What time is, you could either come up with some kind of a banal answer, like time is something that clocks measure, with which you measure time, but it doesn't really answer the question of what time is at all. See, it doesn't really explain what distance is at all. Then if you're a bit more clever, and I ask you what time is, you'd probably come up with one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, certainly one of the most influential philosophers, Einstein. And Einstein created this wonderful thing called space-time, up on which we then created quantum physics. Space-time is essentially this. We always knew there were three dimensions of space. And then Einstein said, what if we just add time to that and turn time into the fourth dimension, and then we can have space-time. The world in a way. Einstein made a terrible mistake that physicists very often make in science. So we constantly have to remind these scientists, actually Einstein, just because you created the mathematics here that made it easy for you to comprehend the world, doesn't really prove that you've proven it. So a physical problem is that, well, in the world of physics, time can go backwards and forwards. Yeah, because everything else goes backwards and forwards, because if you take the metaphor of space and then apply it on time, and see that time is just the fourth dimension of space, then you start thinking, then time should appear the way space does, because space can go backwards and forwards. Time can be relative. Time can move faster in one spot and move in another. At least the time that Einstein measured only goes in one direction, backwards. And if anyone in here can prove to me that time in any way whatsoever can move backwards, I would be happy to listen. I haven't seen any evidence for that whatsoever. The mystery has not been caught yet. So time moves in one relentless direction, talks about time in a specific part of the universe. For example, the planet Earth and our solar system, and within the solar system, time moves in a certain direction. So here, yeah, it does. And it can then move differently. If you're out in space or if you're on the planet, it can move at different speeds. So you age more in one place the other place. But what if there is more than one time? What if there are several dimensions of time rather than just one? The funny thing is that now when you do string theory these days, a lot of string theories are saying, why don't we just add 2 time dimensions rather than 1 dimension of time? And suddenly, their equations don't fit. So, if we have the local time, we could easily also have the universal time. The time for the universe itself as a whole. And that time does not have to be measured at all. And actually, funnily enough, it's the kind of time we could not measure. Because you cannot put the clock outside of the universe. We'll say that the universe is 13.8 billion years old. It wouldn't be 13.8 billion years in different places, but it could be that if we measure time at all the time. Nietzsche once said that there is no way we could think outside of our own psychology. I completely agree with you. We're completely incapable as human beings to think outside of the personality types we are, and that's exactly why philosophers are so different from one another, because they have different personalities.